confusion happens is that people are saying we didn't raise taxes, but I've got your levies from 20, you had 7.9 million. This is county and lateral road. In 21, it jumped $1 million, 8.896. In 22, it jumped another $1 million to 9.77. In 23, it jumped to 10,208,000. So, according to your levy, which is the amount of money that sits on your tax roll, as soon as you set your tax rate, Miss Melissa has it on the road to be collected. So it appears on this that you are raising taxes because you get more levy.
September 21st, we're going to open the meeting up with a prayer. I'm going to ask the Bishop Benson to say a prayer. He's asked to say a few words. Father, first of all, we come to you as humbly as we know how this day. We want to thank you, Lord, for the life that you've given us. Lord, you said you're not the author of confusion. You said where confusion and envy is, you said every evil spirit is present. So, Lord, I ask you, don't let me fall underneath the influence of the evil spirits, Lord, that's floating around this place here today. And, Lord God, I ask you, Lord, bring healing to this county, Lord. Bring peace to this county, Lord. Father, create in Danny Benson a clean heart. Renew a right spirit within Danny Benson today, Lord. And, Father, let the love of God be shed abroad in my heart, Lord. And let me realize that I am representing not only Newton County, but I am also representing the kingdom of heaven here today. And Father, I just ask you today, Lord God, let the words of my mouth and the meditations of my heart be pleasing unto you. In the name of Jesus I pray. Amen.
Amen.
Before Danny speaks, I would like to ask everybody to, please keep your, not comments, but just please keep it simple. We're trying to hold a receipt here, so but everybody please keep it simple. I've never asked for much from this county. I asked the judge to give me 10 minutes uninterrupted time, but I'd like to address some things. Precinct 1 put me in this chair, and we had some bad times. First year I was in office, cottonwood came up. 3 pieces of my equipment was not on the debt service. Had to pay it out of my budget. We laid people off then. And since we laid people off, every one of them positions but one, I think, has been fulfilled again. I looked and I said, what can I do for Newton County? We had everybody scattered in Precinct 1. So I went with Mr. Fomby. I said, Mr. Fomby, I need some help. I got a vision of putting a double wide in Precinct 1, putting all the officers in Precinct 1 in one place. In doing so, we stopped rent, we cut down light bills, we cut down internet, we cut down a lot of expense for this county by doing that one thing. It cost Precinct 1, not the court. Precinct 1 paid $100,000 for that trailer. It cost Precinct 1 $25,000 to hook up that trailer. It didn't cost the general fund. It came all from Precinct 1. Because I have made none whatsoever campaign promises. You can ask Ms. Wright, when I ran, I said I do the best I can, and I got open door policy. You want to talk to me, you come talk to me, or you call me, I'll call you back. That's the only promise I ever made. And I think I kept my end of my deal. They come in griping, I'm there. All right, now here we are. Last year, we came up, and now people saying we need to cut the fat. Well, I think we're trying to kill the hog myself. Now, I'm old country boy. I'm sorry. We are the only county that got a veteran. And I'm proud of that. I I mean, I'm proud that Brother Ray does what he does. Not only does he do it for Newton County, he does it for Jasper County, Sabine County. And I don't know about you, but I'm proud that Newton County has got a veteran person that's standing up for all these counties. I'm proud of that. Nutrition Center been under attack. But let me tell you what, our elders deserve that, in my opinion. They had things they was trying to implement. People said it ain't gonna work, so they pulled the plug before they even gave it a chance. I'm an old country boy. If it don't work, let's pull it. We got in trouble about these debris trucks and these trucks and all this mechanic truck. Well, we tried that mechanic thing. It didn't work. So we pulled the plug on it. Now this debris truck, when a storm comes, every precinct is needing that debris truck. Well, it made me who I am. I said, I ain't got time to wait. So I went and bought me a dump trailer and I picked my own debris without no debris truck. Because I realized Newton County need more than one debris truck, or I can fix it another way. So Precinct 1 fixed their own problem. And it didn't take nothing out of the general fund. Now here we are fighting our nutrition center. There's things we can do, but don't pull the plug until we try it all the way. Our elders deserve that, in my opinion. I am here today because somebody paved this road for me. Now we come to our library. I think it's essential for this county to put into our youth. Our youth has already been neglected. Our youth are being destroyed, and now we're trying to pull things from our youth because we say that's fat. No, that is investing in our youth. That is investing in our county. I'm saying all this because I want to ask you something here in a minute. All right, now here we are now. And last year, all these JPs that was at court, this court, that's the word I'm thinking. This court asked every JP person, do you need that secretary to run your office efficiently? And every one of them said, yes, we need them. Now who are we to tell these JPs that you lied to the court? You don't need them. I think we got JPs that got integrity. I believe everybody on this court should have integrity. And I stand on my integrity. Now I'm saying if these JPs says they need them, then praise the Lord and let's leave them alone. Because they need them. And I'm here also to tell you the problem has been smoke screen. We got problems right here. Health insurance and raised up $96,000. Now that's the issue. You won't cut the hog. Now what we're going to do? I guarantee you next year it's going to go up again. We need to fix that. That's the problem. It's not the employees. The problem is, all right, we got this suspense. What we're going to do with it? We might need the employees need to step up and start paying a little bit on it. I don't know. I'm just throwing things out there. And boy, that went over like a lead balloon. But we're talking about cutting deep, then we need to cut, amen, and we need to fix the problem. And now here we are again, we got $10,000 for buyout because we want right to cut trees. Every tree that I paid to get cut came out of Precinct 1. It didn't come out of general fund. I think we need to let the precincts take care of their own. Let us sacrifice that money for that. We got another big problem. Sewer inspection, all right? We can't help that. Jasper County gave it back to us. We need this. We got to have it. All right, now the biggest problem I see on here, amen, is housing prisoners. Nobody don't want to talk about a new jail. We got a sheriff to be in here, and we got a jail problem. And you know what? This rate is not going to go down next year. This rate will be higher next year than it is this year. So my friends, I love this county. I love every one of you. But I'm here to tell you the problem is not inside, but it's on this list right here. Things that we got to deal with today. Not today, but this year we need to deal with what we're going to do about the health insurance. What we're going to do, amen, about the jail thing. What we're going to do about these things. That's the big problem. These things have come back and bit us how many times? They bit us. Every year we're being faced with this. This is what we need to address. This is what we need to say, hey, we need to get ahead on this. And let me tell you what, when that McKinney truck went wrong, we said pull the plug. But I'm telling you, but everything that got laid off, Mr. Weeks, if he was here, he could tell me. Everything he laid off, he said, we went down to the bare minimum. All right, now here we are, got everybody back to work with IT, man, and we got an IT raise on this. Today, my friends, I'm here to ask you, please. I've done everything in my power to keep your taxes down. I've done everything in my power to keep Precinct 1 being where it is today. We got a problem with machinery. People saying we need our roads fixed. I heard everybody on this court say we don't have the equipment. We don't have the equipment. Mr. Phillip and I, we began saying, let's fix this. Let's go out there and get some equipment in here. And I'm proud to tell you, hey man, that now we got a roller, we got a trailer to haul stuff with, he got a tiller, and I just won the bid on a reclaimer. We are going to begin to work on these roads. But my friends, let me tell you, it's not been an easy 4 years. I have fought my way up the hill every ounce of the way. And yes, I know I'm in the crosshairs today, and I know people mad at me, but I can't help it. I've done everything in my power to keep your taxes down, and I'm going to ask you, because the taxes really did get raised. Yes, you're going to pay more, but last year the tax rate was higher than what this year's is. Now I'm asking you, please, don't crucify me, because I've done everything I can to help this. And I have not made no campaign promises, and I'm not going to try to fulfill no campaign promises. But I'm here fighting for you, I'm fighting for this court, and I'll tell you what, we got to bind together, and we need unity. And praise the Lord, I'm not talking about this office going with that, I'm talking about this whole court needs to come together, and we need to work with one thing, that's for the county, for you, the citizens. And that's all I got to say. God bless you, and I need your prayer, and I cover your prayer.
Thank you, Dan. All right. With the current tax rate, if we go with the no new revenue rate, we're a little over $600,000 deficit. If we go with a de minimis rate, we're right at $200,000 deficit. So in the general fund, we have 14. This is out of the general fund. There's 14 elected officials and 51 hourly. And the commissioners, I don't know if everybody is aware that the way the tax dollars are split, the way it works out, you take your indigent care, and then 15% comes off for the commissioners, and it's split between all 4 commissioners. And then 85% goes to run the rest of the county. So on the commissioners, they have 4 elected and 26 hourly. And the sheriff department, on the list that I have here, there's 15 hourly in the sheriff department and 7 hourly in the jail for a total of like 117 people. As far as the general fund, I'm a couple of positions. For one, the budget I proposed no raises for 2025. So we went through the property insurance, and this is something the court's going to have to vote on. But if we drop $5.3 million in coverage, which is 24 different, we can save $82,000. But that's dropping $5.3 million off the total coverage of the insurance.
So when you said no raises on the budget, so this is not the one that's been proposed, this is what you're proposing?
This is what I'm proposing now. No raises on, as far as the general fund. I have no say on the commissioner budget. This is just for the general fund budget. Now, the 51 positions through attrition, I'm going to do away with 4 positions. The one in the JP's office, one in the nutrition program, my secretary, so that's 3. one in the library part-time, and then I propose making the history center worker part-time until the funds are there to make her back full-time. Then that, coupled with a no raise and then savings on the interest, and then going through the budget, just trimming everything we can, that will put us in a good, if we go with the de minimis rate, that will put us about 70,000 over what? Over a balanced budget. So, and I ask commissioners, what else are we looking at? As far as the nutrition program, the employees has left, so I'm just not filling that position. There will be an opening in the JP's office come next year, so we won't fill that position. We will use JP3 assistant to cover both offices. So that's where I'm at on it. That will, with the de minimis rate, which raises 490-something thousand extra, that will put us over for these cuts. So I'm asking y'all, what else should be in there?
I think what everybody needs to understand is that we've had several budget meetings, and we have discussed all these things. We've had all the department heads at the meetings, and the original issue was that we were about $600,000 in the deficit on our revenue versus what the cost is to run the county. And so we looked at all the different offices and looked at all our funds, grants, all the support that we get from NECOG and different programs, and we still came up short. And we asked all of the department heads to go back and see what they could do. If they had any employees they could get by without for the first half of the year, or even the whole year, and they all said that they were pretty much stressed. And so we came back together and we said, well, we're going to have to start making some real tough decisions. The court's going to have to make a decision, and that's what I think the judge is asking us right now for the court, where we go from here. But as Brother Danny was saying, we are just in a tough position because of the inflation cost of everything. The judge didn't mention, but he spent quite a bit on the air conditioning units for this building here, the courthouse, as well as the civic center. Quite a bit more than we expected, and we just got a lot of different things that we're having to jockey back and forth, because we, as most of us know, we OT them some money, and we've been trying to figure out how to get it all paid back, and a lot of this stuff is just lingering as far as getting stuff that we have to deal with. Now, as far as the bottom cost that it takes to run the county, we're about at bare minimum. Now, each office can probably cut back on, some of the little odds and ends that are used, but you have the tax office, and some of them, they're dictated by the government, and we just, they have to follow government guidelines. And so that's one of the reasons the judge was talking about the sheriff department, and even the commissioners. By law, we get a certain amount, and it's not that I'm asking for more from my precinct. I'm like Brother Danny. I try every day to make good decisions and not waste money. And I think we've been in a pretty good position in precinct 2 financially. And I really, I don't want to, that's the last thing I want to do is say that I raise taxes. I think I got a couple more years on the board. I've been here 6 years, and I think we raise taxes once whenever the year that we had on the unfortunate things happened. The timber values dropped out. We had the lawsuit down in Cottonwood and a couple other things that we had piled on top of each other, and we had no choice that year. But other than that, we have did everything we can to keep from raising taxes. And I'm willing to continue to look. I know that there are probably some little things. A lot of times we look at the big things and it's like cutting jobs and that kind of thing, but there are a lot of little issues in each office that we probably can save a dollar or two. And of course, that should be our goal anyway, but being we're in the predicament we're in now, year before last week, third quarter, we found ourselves not having enough money to make it throughout the year end. And we called everyone in, and they were able to do some things to cut back and to make it throughout that year. And so that's the kind of thing that we're going to be asking them going forward, because we definitely don't want to be in this predicament next year. The last 4 or 5 years has really been a tough issue. Inflation and whatnot, I mean, we all deal with it. Everything from a loaf of bread to all your utility bills. Our utilities have really jumped up on us. And I think our auditor, people that have concerns about those issues that have increased, our auditor has documentation on how much we paid this year versus last year versus the year before. But if you look at all these issues, it's like that he was holding up here, all these are increases. Things like the jail, the prison, housing the prisoners. We've been fortunate to get the prisoners housed in other counties for about $40 a piece, and that has gotten up close to $100. And we don't, at one point in time, and this is an issue, a real issue, heartburn that I've had since I've been here, is that I heard, and I don't like repeating rumor, but more than a few people told me that we had some folk on the sheriff department that was telling folk that we're not going to indict anyone because we're not going to pick up any criminal right now because we don't have nowhere to put them. And that is one of the worst things that you would want is, criminals running around in your neighborhood, and we know there are more of them nowadays that's not wanting to work and riding around in these big vehicles and stealing folks' stuff and that kind of stuff. So we can't afford to have that halo hanging over us that we can't pick up criminals. And that's one of the things.
That's the problem. That's not the case.
Yeah. Well, I just.
Well, as far as like utility bills, the old hospital bill where we got the nutrition program, the food bank, agriculture, it costs around $4,000 a month just to keep the lights on. The civic center, it costs a little over $3,000 a month just to keep the lights on, in the building. So the utilities have went up. Everything, like out of our control. The stuff that's mandated by the state that we pay, autopsies. We have, anybody gets killed, the county has to pay for the autopsy. And that has went up. We're paying over $3,000 for an autopsy. That's autopsy and then transportation. Well, that's mandated by the state the county pays. So, the district court, we have to pay a portion of the district court's budget. And the county has to pay a portion of Marshall's budget. So there's a lot of things that go into the county that a lot of people don't even realize that we're mandated to pay that, by state law that we're having to pay. So everything's increasing. So, basically with the drop it down a little bit. We're just kind of different on what we can do. Other than, you know, we went through the budget and Mike Greer, where he said, he made a statement, there's nothing left to cut. Now, we go with the next revenue rate, with the cuts, we'd have to cut 9 more people. So, and I myself, I don't like cutting people, you know, we're dealing with people's lives. You know, I'm not willing to make that cut. You know, as far as people saying do without, well, you can do without health insurance. You know, the county, most of the ladies already, or, you know, most of the workers, you know, if they're single and have children, they qualify for food stamps. So what's the incentive to even work if you don't have health insurance? You might as well get social program and government services and stay home. You know, it'd be just as good. So that's the reason the county provides insurance. You know, maybe, you know, they help out. As an incentive to keep people. Now, there's some employees that make a little bit better than the like the county rate. But, you know, some offices have different stipends of money. It's not coming out of the tax dollars, it's not coming out of the general funds. It's coming from, like, Senate Bill 22, the Sheriff's Department, and the District Attorney's Office, got a grant from the state to increase their salary. You know, my office, I use floodplain money to boost, you know, because she's handling the floodplains. One of the ladies over in the clerk's office is getting paid solely off of the records retention money. So, some of it's not coming out of the general funds, but, you know, there is a difference in pay on some people. But there's different pots of money that is coming out.
I think, well, I just for the record, I've heard everyone speak, just for the record, I would like to make sure I understood correctly that Mr. Philip White and Mr. Danny Dixon are in favor of raising taxes. Would that be correct? Based on what they both said, it sounds like to me they're in favor of raising taxes.
This is what I said right here,
For the
brother.
record, I would like that noted.
Well, for the record, I'd like to be noted, last year, it was .709575. If we go no dominious rate, it'd be .700926, which would be lower than last year's rate.
That's on some young people that have a $400,000 or $500,000 place. That's a pretty
Well,
good chunk of money.
the tax rate we're proposing
Yes,
is
sir, about
$30
$30
per $100,000 babies. So if your home is worth $200,000, it costs you $60 more a year. If your home is worth less, well, it really wouldn't cost, because you have $40,000 exemption, homestead exemption. So if your home is worth $100,000, you got $40,000 homestead exemption. It would be 20 something, you know.
So I, you know, it's no secret, I'm in favor of staffing reductions to try to get to no new revenue or as close as we can to that. And then if we have to raise taxes, not just arbitrarily go with the minimus rate, which is a fancy way of saying increase the tax burden by $500,000. But I also, at the same time, did ask for an increase, as Brother Danny said, of $10,000 to cut trees on buyout property in Precinct 4, which is where I would say probably 90% of the buyout property is at. So we cut almost 50 trees in the last 2 years, a year and 9 months, and Precinct 4 would pay for every tree cut, with the exception of those cut in buyout properties. Because, as you all know, road tax money can't be spent but on road tax items. So that money has to come from the general fund per the law. So we do need money to maintain those properties, because some of those properties are in residential neighborhoods and they have trees that are overhanging houses next door. And the county is liable for that. If I wait till a tree falls on the house and destroys the house, we're gonna be buying a house. If I wait till it falls on someone, that's in an even worse scenario. So we do need money for that. That's real, that's inarguable. Right now, there's 22 homes in Newton County that's on the buyout list. So that burden is gonna grow in this county. There's no denying it. It's just like the prisoners increase, or the inmates. Prisoners are on more than inmates. But I don't wanna sit here and repeat what I've said in court for the last 3 workshops, what I said on the interview with Mr. Shaw. I would just say this. I realize that we are at a shortfall without doing some drastic cuts. But at the same time, the cuts that's been proposed are far from where I would expect the county to move to if I was asking us to be conservative with tax dollars. So, I do want to add one thing before I stop this. I don't think that anything happens here today or happens next week, Tuesday, is going to divide this court. I would think, Brother Danny, would you agree with that?
Yeah, I'll go eat lunch with you today.
And I think that, that equipment that you just bought, that reclaimer, I agreed to put 10,000 towards that last week. So I don't think the court's divided and there's nothing wrong. I think, I'll say it a different way. I think there's something wrong with the court if we can't be at a difference of opinion, vote differently, and at the end of it go, the majority of the court has spoken. We're going to move forward. We're not going to linger around and talk about who was wrong or who was right. Once we make this vote, Tuesday morning at noon or whenever it's over, this court is going to be one voice. We're going to agree the court has spoken. The judge is the judge, and we are the commissioners, and we're going to move forward and be successful. Now, some of us aren't going to be happy, but at the end of the day, we're going to move forward and be successful. And I'm done.
I spent 15 years as an efficiency expert, so things are running through my mind. But one of the big ones is how many quotes have you received for new health insurance?
We have and I don't handle the insurance, that's the HR Treasury Department, but we have insurance through the state, which is Texas Association of Counties, and, what, they're usually the local. But what, the biggest problem with our insurance is most of the county workers are 60 and above. So we're in a high risk group. So unless we, go with all your younger workforce, but it's hard to get people, the younger people to work for the money that the county pays.
But to that point, we did ask our treasurer's office, who also in a small county serves as the HR department. And even a year ago, we asked that same question. And they went out and they did research. They brought in, last year, they brought in our insurance providers. And then again this year, and met with the court and many members of the staff that were in that meeting. And I sat here today thinking that they proved to me, at least as a commissioner, that we are with who we need to be with on health insurance. So I think it's a good question. I asked it a year ago, and I'm in a good place from a confidence level that our HR department's got us where we need to be.
The second question I have is that would any of this shortfall be available from like a sales tax increase, something that doesn't fall to us homeowners only every single time, but would cover anybody that comes through the county?
As far as the state law, sales tax has, you can't use it to run your, it's limited on what sales are, like economic development, emergency services districts. You can't use the sales tax to fund your daily operation. Oh, and that's limited by the state. Sir, you have a question?
Yes, on the health insurance, that's fully paid? Employees don't pay anything into it?
Yes.
Okay. I mean, just about every other entity, even including these teachers, new teachers, they're paying $500 or $600 a month.
Yes.
For health insurance. And just about anywhere else you work, you're gonna contribute to that. So that might be something to look at.
That is something we're looking at as far as.
My second thing is, you asked the commissioner just a minute ago if there's anything they could do to cut. They didn't say anything, so I'm assuming they don't have
Well, see,
anything to cut.
the commissioner's budget It's totally separate from the.
I know, but you asked, you said, now, is there anything y'all can do? You said what you were gonna do.
Well,
And none of them commented on what they could do, so assuming that there's nothing.
So to answer that question, precinct 4, so there's nothing that I can do in cutting my money that puts money back into the general fund. And there's things that I can't do with the money. I mean, it's structured to where the county, the government said, look, we're gonna make sure that a certain amount of this tax money goes into infrastructure. If we don't have good roads, solid bridges, and the signs we need, business isn't gonna come here, our residents aren't gonna come here. You can imagine a state where the commissioners and the judge would say, hey, we're gonna put all the money in this and we're gonna go build a water park. The state of Texas said, no, you're not gonna do that. You're gonna take a percentage of this money and you're gonna put it in roads and bridges. That's where we're at. So everyone's silent because there's nothing we can do to contribute back to the general fund. I will say this, in precinct 4 in 2023, I had 5 full-time employees on staff per the budget that was written in 22 for me when I come in. In 24, I had 4 full-time. In 25, I had 3 full-time listed. The only reason that number is going down, and it may be too low, I don't know. I talked to my guys during budget, and they said the only way we can do it is if you work with us. And I have and I will. But we're reducing that number so we can put more of those tax dollars into roads and into materials. Because at the end of the day, just for the commissioners, and this is important, the difference between a no new revenue and a minimus tax rate, which I hate that word, the difference between a no new revenue and a $500,000 tax increase on the residents for each commissioner is around $22,000. That's no money. I mean, that's very few loads of material. So the guys that are supporting, and I'm speaking up for these guys because I'm not supporting the increase, but the guys that are supporting this increase are not doing it to get more money in their coffers. They're not doing it for that reason. And I just felt like saying that. They're doing it to support the general fund and not their own coffers. But I don't know if that answers your question, but I tried.
So anything y'all do to cut your funds doesn't help anything? I mean, if you say, okay, I'm getting 15%, whatever, it's this much, but if I can cut $50,000 out of that to the general, that can go, general fund will hold on to that?
No, and the reason the government...
Where does it go then?
No, you don't. So if I don't spend what I have coming to me, it builds up, it rolls over each year. And the reason that is that way is because, God forbid, there's some government out there that is not focused on improving infrastructure. They could take the tax dollars that is designated for road and bridges and use them in a wrong manner. So what the government says is, you're going to use them this way or they're not going to be used. And then what you get to do as a taxpayer is you get to look at how much money we roll over each year, and then you get to say, hey, obviously you didn't care about fixing my road because you rolled over $300,000. We don't get that every year, but you rolled over that money. And then what that commissioner should say to you is, I didn't spend that money because I have a project in the loans, and here it is, and here's how it looks. But no, we cannot take road bridge tax money and throw back in the general fund. It's not allowed.
Ronnie, you said that would the tax increase on properties would happen after the exemptions? It would be based on the figure that
Well, say
after
your
the exemption?
value is $100,000, and you got a $40,000 exemption. You will be taxed on the $60,000.
Okay, so after exemptions.
Yes. It's all, we get you $40,000 property tax, no matter what. If you got a homestead exemption.
I got maybe not a question, but something that I think a lot of people get confused about. And I'm not stepping on Melissa's toes, unless it help me any way you can when I start this. People get real confused about tax rates and values. My office sets the values, and as we know, what have they done? They've went up. Because the sale of property is sky high new all over the state. I get audited by the controller's office. That who controls my office is the controller's office. Anytime, say you have a 70 cents rate last year, and your values went up, because our values have not dropped in many, 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 many years, you go and you drop that, you adopt that 70 rate again, you have caused a tax increase. Even though, or even if you dropped it down a few pennies, you still have caused a tax increase if that levy goes up. And I think that's where a lot of confusion happens, is that people are saying we didn't raise taxes, but I've got your levies from 20, you had 7.9 million, this is county and lateral road. In 21, it jumped $1 million, 8.896. In 22, it jumped another $1 million to 9.77. In 23, it jumped to 10,208,000. So according to your levy, which is the amount of money that sits on your tax roll, soon as you set your tax rate, Miss Melissa has it on the road to be collected. So it appears on this that you are raising taxes because you get more levy. Does that clear as mud? Y'all are all looking at me. Y'all
I understand.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's, and that, yeah.
It's just that clear.
I guess
That's the only way how I
you
make
go
it
over the no
watered
new
down.
revenue.
Is that if your levy goes up, you are raising taxes, and the local taxpayers and the ones that don't live there, everybody feels it.
Even with the tax rate dropping.
Yes, because the values went up. If you don't drop it on down to where it's supposed to be, you raise tax.
Well, according to the state, for the no new revenue rate,
No new revenue.
the comptroller,
No new revenue rate should be no new revenue.
yes.
But see, in the past, that's always been happening here. 4 years I gave you, they all went up like $1 million out of whack. And that is the reason why your payment to the appraisal district goes up, is based on your levy. You have got the highest levy in the county, okay? Higher, next biggest one would be Newton School,
Yeah, we're the whole county,
right?
where the school district is just,
Yeah.
well, I understand that.
But when you raise that levy, then in turn, your percentage that you're gonna pay of the appraisal district goes up. Because it looks, I do a calculation, it's attached to your budget, and it shows your levy, all the levies, and then you divide it out and tell you what percent you're gonna pay.
Well, last year we used what's called the,
No new revenue.
no new revenue plus the unused income.
Right, but
That's right.
is raised. That is a tax increase. Anything above no new revenue is a tax increase.
Just be careful when you say that to people, because they don't the tax system is very hard to understand.
So where did that money go?
And so you have increased it like almost $4 million in 4 years, and you probably have good reasons for it. But that is the figures.
One of those years though included cottonwood and there was a major refund that had to be paid. One of those. That was the cotton, the sewage fund.
There was some confusion this year. I got several phone calls about the cottonwood lawsuit. Cottonwood did not file a lawsuit. They didn't even come to the appraisal review board. They worked it out, and so I don't know where, and that's what you come up with. You get people talking, these rumors get started, and then all of a sudden, it's told everywhere, and there's nothing to it. So call your commissioners. Call me, call Melissa, call whoever that you think that office has been told about, they'll tell you.
So you mentioned Cottonwood. How much did the appraisal go up on Cottonwood this year?
10 million.
$10 million increase.
They did not, we went up 20,
Right.
but we settled at 10.
So that's something, and what are the percentage of the overall budget is Cottonwood?
Cottonwood is probably close to 50%. When Cottonwood come on the road back 25 years ago, it doubled the county tax levy that year.
So that's one thing that's important for this county. We've talked about it as a board, and I've tried to share that. You know, Cottonwood is vital to this county and to the Louisville School District. And, you know, 22 million, I thought it was 22 million the appraisal value went up this year. Right.
And it was settled.
No, the first appraisal went up 22 million and they settled for
10.
10. Right, but the appraisal went up that much. So when we talk about increasing taxes, whether that be at the county level or whether that be at the school bond level, because we had a school bond vote in Louisville, some of the Louisville folks are here. That was a very contentious subject with the people that understand how tax burdens go, because we did not want to burden the people that are paying all of the
The
taxes.
thing that you have to think about is now NRG, but they pay the bulk of Louisville taxes.
Right.
You know, they're the ones paying. They have no vote. They can't vote for a commissioner. They can't do anything except pay their tax bill. So, they've been good neighbors. They've been good to the county.
And that's been good to the community.
Yes. Dale, did you have a question?
I do. Y'all know what the percentage of delinquency we have on our tax, people not paying their taxes?
I don't know a percentage, but I can tell you this, we usually have two, sales a year, and we have usually 80 suits filed a year, and that is what I've seen in the last 2 years, people from out of counties coming in and buying them, and we have excess funds. There was one track that we had $10,000 on it, and it sold for $44,000. Cold cash money. And now tax sale, usually you have a reduced sale. They walked over a $29,000 check yesterday to me on one account.
So can we increase the amount instead of 2 a year, have a tax sale on more of them?
Well, it takes about a year, when they start the process, it takes them a year to get it, to be able to sell it. You gotta do the research on the property, serve the people, which means send it on, get it served, get that back, we served everybody, get a courtroom date, go take a judgment, and then get a sale, and it has to be published so many days. So, to be frank with you, it takes me a year to get it to an auction.
And the county employs a law firm to manage that
Yes.
process. It's not someone here dragging their feet. There's a firm that the county has and does.
He gets paid hourly?
Yeah.
Do I get it right now?
I would like to say the firm, MBVA is very aggressive. Now, on our 2023 taxes, we're about, close to a 4% delinquency rate on the current. On prior years, when you look at the overall picture, less than 2%, around 2%. But I will get you a number. I don't like to guess, but I will get you a solid number, Mr. Bell.
And what we've talked about as a court is, you know, where are you gonna be with this collection rate? You know, if you impose, whatever rate you impose on people, you're gonna collect a percentage of that. So we try to factor that in around 96%. But as inflation goes up, the people paying those taxes are burdened more and more.
That's right.
So that 96%, you know, you said it was 2, now it's 4. What will it be next year? And at the end of the day, people's gotta eat, they gotta
Now
decide.
we have got to use tools of letting them pay them out. You know, anything we can do to help the taxpayer.
And Miss Melissa does a very good job at
She
that.
does.
She works with people to get their taxes paid.
I help people help themselves. I do everything I can, and I collect more county dollars that way. You know, you can't make the mountain so high they can't climb it if they're trying to do it. Now, if they don't try, you know, I can't help somebody that won't help themselves. And at the end of the day, that's just straight up facts. You cannot help someone that's not trying to help themselves. And I'm not talking about those that are having, problems. I'm talking about people that are riding around in Cadillacs that don't pay their taxes. So you just cannot help those. But we do, I know Margie does, I do. We do everything we can to help those people. Help themselves.
I prepared this little speech this morning at 4 o'clock. And I'm proud to say some of this in here has been mentioned, but I'm gonna read it just as I wrote it, so I'll be sure and get it all right. First of all, I wanna thank the court and the citizens that are here. A lot of people have mentioned the deal about Facebook and putting out rumors and all that it's not right, but I disagree. We as citizens, I feel like if we would have been here involved 4 or 5 years ago, it's a possibility we wouldn't even be here today. We're dealing with this. So, kudos to the citizens that are here and the people that put the information out. Some of the information may be wrong, some of it may be right, but we as citizens, it gives us a seed to look at and determine is it right or wrong, and let's get involved, let's question it. Because they are humans, they do make mistakes. I'll tell them that, as we are. Kudos to everybody that's here, and respectfully, I appreciate y'all. So, Matt, sorry? No. No. With all that being said, we knew coming into office that the prior 3 to 4 months before this new court, that they could not pay the bills, monthly bills, which included payroll, without using ARPA funds. So we knew coming in it was gonna be tough, okay? But with a lot of training, learning the hard way, and going through things, just staying above water, so to speak, I believe we do have a good group here on this court, but I believe it is necessary to make some essential changes. Either increase the taxes or reduce the budget and increase the taxes. Not to roast anyone on their job or tell anybody they're not doing a good job, because I don't know about your job and I don't want your job. But each elected official, each one of you, has got to look at their department, at your budget, and see if there's something, someone that can reduce the budget. There's got to be more efficiency and accountability. I do have one suggestion on maybe something we gotta look at, and that's turning the solid waste over to each commissioner. Let them take care of their own dump. And I think that has been discussed. I think if y'all work it out, there is a possibility of saving $100,000. That's a lot of money.
Yes,
That can be saved.
that has been discussed, so we're just trying to figure out the best plan to do it.
Okay, good. Tough times require tough decisions. The process of robbing from Peter to pay Paul is over with. So let's look at this, at the budget, and let's make it happen. Let's make it happen. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
She was first.
James, go ahead.
If the court will allow me, I need to make some clarifications and corrections that have been stated wrong. I'm Terry Woods, and I'm the Newton County Newton County Historical Center Administrative Coordinator. Big title. Means I really work hard. The people that work with me know that I do. They say that I do the job of 2 to 4 people. And after what was said, I'm not here to convince them to change whatever the judge feels he needs to do, but I am going to make some corrections. Some things have been stated that simply are not true. People have not come to me to ask me those things. It has never been reported that we have daily volunteers, and it has been stated by Mr. Powell that we have daily volunteers. We do not. There are days, many, many days, that no volunteers come into the History Center to offer their services. They simply can't and do not. We keep a daily log. There are sign-in sheets that they're required to come in, put their signature, their hours, what projects, so they're there to be seen. I keep a log of that. My salary has been in question, and so to be transparent with that, my bring home on my W-2 last year, the bread and milk that I buy with was $28,346.23. That's what I lived on, okay? So that big package that the county puts in there, I don't have any say about that. The insurance portion, which I am willing, this is where I posted on Facebook last night that I had come up with friends, some good friends helped me figure out. I said, how could I save? Because the budget, and we are thankful, I want to say this, we wouldn't be there at all if it wasn't for this commissioner's court. Doesn't everybody, the volunteers that are here, wouldn't everybody agree that? We would not be there at all if it wasn't for this commissioner's court. But I don't have any say about what insurance costs or any of that. So some good friends, we have a very small budget that they do allow us, and we watch every penny. But I asked some good friends, how could I cut it? Because our budget, our operating budget is tiny. We watch that, I don't see anything we can do there. I've turned 65. I said I could give up my insurance and start to draw Medicare. I could give that up. That would save $12,595 for insurance. That would save the county that much. And I would be willing to look at that if they could keep me on full time. Because what it really translates into is, in August, for 3 days, we had one person come in to work on projects. And we had 4 people for 2 days come in and work on projects. 4 days, 2 people come in. So, a lot of this, and there has been confusion. See, what we were trying to do, what we were trying to show the court, and it's caused confusion, and I apologize. This is our commission list, okay? Now, it's all red and marked through now, okay? This is our commission list that we are required by Texas Historical Commission to show. These are our commission members. This is our executive board, our executive committee members. This is our commission members and our non-voting associate members, okay? Texas Historical Commission puts that in place. They have a definition of what those roles are. This is covered under our bylaws, all right? And that doesn't change but annually. And we go over this at the end of the year, and then that's adopted by our commissions, and then the commission, we submit that to y'all. Then that doesn't change until another year. But you see this, and I did not, apparently, conveyed that correctly to you, so you've looked at this and you thought, and it's been stated, you have 29 volunteers. And sadly, I've had people in the community say, you have 29 volunteers. And I've had to try to stamp that out. No, we really don't. So now, the reason there's so much red, this shows all the inactive people. And this year, around November, I believe it's correct, John, around November, we'll have to take the action of contacting them and say, you're inactive. Inactive means you're not coming to meetings, you're not serving on a committee actively, and we'll have to get them to take either get active or we have to remove them. But to go and state publicly for any commissioner or anyone to state they have 29 volunteers. They don't need an employee. It's incorrect information. But, and I've explained this publicly in the courts, and it still gets repeated. And you know how anything is, once it's stated, it's hard to get that stamped out. And it's been stated on your program. And so unless I get to do an interview with you, that's gonna just repeat and repeat.
We can set that up.
Okay, thank you.
Does the city, Judge, does the city, put any money towards the Loose Girls?
No.
No. And they're not interested in that. It's been stated they're not interested in the history center.
Really? That says a lot.
And last year, they did put some money toward the library and toward the emergency management position. So I haven't got clarification this year if they're going to do it.
Do they help with the library, the city library? I didn't hear.
Yes, they contributed $20,000 toward, now the $170,000 library budget, the city contributed $20,000.
What about the nutrition?
No,
They don't do anything?
they haven't contributed anything to that. As far as the nutrition program, last month, remember, it's usually 20 meals per day for the, what we call congregate meals, and that's paid, with a grant of $76,000 from Government Economic Development. Now that goes toward that. Now the Meals on Wheels program is paid back by Health and Human Services at $5.75 a meal, so, it's around $120,000. So, this year, we had budgeted, I'm not exactly sure the numbers, there's so many numbers through my head, but, we were like 90,000 was what the county was funded, so we asked the city if they would fund half of that. So I have not heard direct confirmation back from the city on whether they wanted to do that, or they would do that. But last year they did fund $20,000 for the library and $15,000 for the emergency management position, because he is the city's emergency manager also.
I also want to clarify that, last year, that some of these same concerns came up with the court, primarily Mr. Powell, and I'm not trying to pick on him, I'm just trying to clarify. And we presented packets, because see, I'm having to clarify this with co-workers within the county and the public. And I want to do that, because I'd say about 4 years ago, we started throwing around that word transparency. We better live up to that. Are we gonna live up to that, or are we gonna just use that word? I'm serious now. Are we gonna use that word, or are we gonna live up to it? I presented packets last year explaining the difference in my position as an employee and what my responsibilities were, and the difference in our volunteers. We had several volunteers write letters. This wasn't just to convince the court to keep me employed. It was truly explaining the role differences in volunteers, and that they had chosen activities that they did to accomplish more and to accomplish specific goals that were completely different from my job description, which started in a very simplified form here, which advanced to this one that I have now. Okay, now enough about that, because I'm not trying to convince him to change his mind, okay? All right, so we're moving on to that. All right, so now let's see, what else was it that Mr. Powell had confused? Okay, I wanted to clarify, this has been a 14-year paid position. Now, I have not been there, but 5 years. The courts saw fit because volunteers have dropped off so much for many, many years. When, I believe it was when Ms. Pam Wright was the chair of the commission, they couldn't get anyone to keep the center open. So they appealed to the court, and the court said, yes, we see. To have someone in the facility, we're going to have to hire someone. So they granted Miss Kathy Knighton as an employee. And then it has grown to the point of the needs and the opportunities, and we do so much that now it has grown into a full-time position. But that's good for 14 years. Now, Mr. Powell also stated that current services are not to be cut, and that they would not need to be cut, that volunteers could cover that. It is not true. I took a survey, and of all of our volunteers, they cannot serve. We got 2 people that said they could serve 4 hours a day, 1 day a week. And that was, at first I got a maybe out of one of them. And one of them came out of the inactive status. Inactive, doesn't come to meetings, isn't involved on a committee. Just because he said, I don't want to see it closed. So that is not a true statement that we would not have to cut services without a paid employee.
She's telling the truth too, because I go over there, and it cannot be done without a paid employee. If you want the thing shut down, that's it. And by that, I mean the state of Texas, it is recognized, and it's one things in Newton that has brought us some attention. And it is good that we have something, but we can't run it with employees, without an employee. I'll tell you that. And she's good.
Mr. Powell also stated that the financial reports are done by the treasurer, that he does all the financial statements. That was stated on your report. And I didn't get that exact wording because I was coming in this morning, I was listening, and I missed the exact wording, so I don't want to misquote him. But Mr. Charles is our treasurer. He serves in that capacity on our commission board, and I want to clarify that. I make all deposits. I receive all monies, even for the Powell Hotel, when they do their soup kitchen. I receive all sales. All money handlings. See everything in. I make all deposits to Ginger. Mr. Wright audits me. There's a receipt book. He audits me. He keeps me honest. He keeps me accountable to the county. He checks everything. He checks Miss Sherry's operating report, and I send, and he does the report and reports to the bi-monthly and gives them the report to the commission. And that's his treasurer's report. Did I explain that?
Correct. I'd just like to make one comment also. It's been stated that we don't generate any money. I think the Historical Commission is probably the only entity in Newton County that does generate money. Maybe I'm wrong, you do. Okay. So there's somebody else. But, just for instance, the Powell Hotel falls underneath the Historical Commission. They generated somewhere between $6,000 and $7,000 in soup sales last year.
Yes.
I have no idea what the debit receipts are, because I don't see those.
We should, but we
But
don't.
anyway, so things that are purchased go against that revenue, just like we had, I say we, with the mouse in my pocket, it was mainly curious with the garage sale, it raised $892. That came off of the medallions that were purchased to be sold to make money for the county. Anyway, the point is, we do generate some money. That's all.
I'll hit on that quickly since he brought it up. I don't have 2024, but in 2023 fundraising, we brought in 4731, that's 4,000. In donations, we brought in 4,230 in 2022. We brought in 3,981 in grant money. We brought in 4,800 in 2021, which was a COVID year. In fundraising, we brought in 8,293 in 2020, which was a COVID year. We brought in 1,240 in grant money. We brought in 5,000. In 2019, we brought in fundraising, we brought in 10,061. That was Eagle, Once an Eagle Sales, the book. And in 2018, that's as far as I'll go, we brought in 13,660. That was Once an Eagle Sales. That's about all I've got. I've got projects that we do, all kinds of things. We cannot say enough. The only other thing that I'll mention is one project that I'm really proud of, two projects that are coming up. One of those is in Mr. Philip White's corner that we'll be presenting in October. It's a heritage education project for the children, for the students, and it ties in with the Weirgate lumber days in the 40s. And it's a skit that is being developed by Miss Sherry Leach, Heritage Education, and it involves pre-K through kindergarten, and it is delightful. They will be active in a play, and it goes up through 5th grade. The older students will be helping them, and we will we'll launch it in their school, but it'll be presented to all the schools. All the schools will be able to take part in this. We'll be going to all of them that are willing to take part. Some of the schools don't take part. We can't do anything about that. Some of them don't even return our emails when we invite them to take part in field trips and such. But we do a lot. We do a lot for Newton County. And we're having a cemetery walk. I, by the way, paid for these. I donated to have these printed. I didn't charge the county for this. We're having a cemetery walk October the 12th. It's a historical cemetery walk. I'll just take these, and if you'll take one, we'd love to invite you. And you take part. Can y'all think of anything else, volunteers, that needs to be covered?
How many people do you have that come visit the visitor center?
Oh, yes, I've got that. Let's see. Visitors in 2024 so far, we've had 463. And we've had 109 genealogy research requests. That's where people call in or come in. And, well, actually, these are people that have come in, not calls. Physically come in and say, can you help me find so-and-so and so-and-so? And we research it out for them. Everything's not on the phone. We've got the records. We've got the physical records. And we find it for them.
My question? Okay, you just stated that you've had 235 people so far this year that's come in. I understand your historical society. I don't know if you remember the name, Don Crane, or know the name. He was one of the people that started that up, and he's part of our family, and I'm a genealogist. So I totally understand. I have been all over the United States doing genealogy, and I have found that most historical societies, the towns this size, my main one is Atmore, Alabama, that is less population than Newton. They open X amount of days per week, 4 days a week, half a days. Some more days are scheduled for morning, some days are scheduled for afternoon. Okay? They are also coupled with the library. They're housed in the same department. If someone comes in to the library that would like to do research in the genealogy, the library person takes it over. Save hours for library. You know, they'll want to be in, like to do the research, vice versa. Is there any way you can put the library and the historical society together? One building, one set of utilities. Okay, but you don't have a full-time employee. Nobody loses their job, they're just no longer full-time. she has stated earlier that, you know, she would switch over to her Medicare because of the insurance, and these are options that everybody has to look at. You know, go ahead and change your insurance versus losing your health insurance. You know, so is these things that can be looked at?
We partner together on, already, we partner together on other things, but they are some.
In the same building?
Yes, we're in the same, yes, the
And you all share
Ann Iris and Ann Howard, legally covered us years ago. We're covered in a building that provided, a place for the History Center and the library. So we're permanently covered.
Okay, and does the county own that building?
Yes,
Yes?
yes, so we're permanently covered.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, and as a taxpayer, I wanna add this, as a taxpayer, now this is taxpayer, take the History Center hat off. As a taxpayer, I would say and ask that the court adopt a professional civic center a civic center, I lost my words. But we don't have a policy. We do not have a civic center policy. The citizens probably are not aware, but the citizens are absorbing all the expense of the civic center, and that is wrong. I don't wanna pay the electric bill on the civic center. I don't wanna pay for somebody to use it. I am in civic organizations that can pay carrying something.
There was a policy for the Civic Center. And and it was priced out on how you had half a day or you wanted a whole day. And you had to pay, and that's for weddings, receptions.
Not important.
And that's not too long ago.
Let me
Well,
speak.
anybody that comes to rent the Civic Center, it goes through.
Yeah, Rosemary used to do it.
They pay $350, and they get 100 of it back if they clean.
Well, let's just make sure, because either they're storing or something, but people are saying, I'm not paying, I wasn't charged, and so I'm just saying.
None of the clubs pay. NCR, none of it, we don't ask any of the civic clubs.
I'm just saying, I'm
But
just
like
asking,
individuals that come around for weddings,
Yes.
baby showers,
I'm just asking the court, I'm not saying we have to get into a back
I'm
and
not,
forth
but you
here.
can verify that.
I'm just asking that the court check and see that there is a solid professional policy for the civic center. And then, this may make coworkers mad, but I would ask that the court really consider looking at our insurance policy. It's astronomical what the citizens are paying for insurance coverage for.
That's what we were talking about. You know,
It's
we're looking at
ridiculous.
reducing $5.3 million in coverage, at a savings of, you know, and that's something the court's got to approve.
Yes, let
Dropping
employees pay something.
$5.3 million in coverage at a savings
She's
of
talking about health
around
insurance.
$82,000.
Judge, she's specifically saying health insurance.
Most of them are,
Oh,
if most of them are over 65 or over 60, is that a possibility that it would be cheaper for you to cover the $175 a month or whatever it is for Medicare, versus paying what you would for a, you know, an individual policy? In other words, you could add that maybe to their salary, because there are probably laws against.
that's what they say, there's laws
Against doing
against,
that.
against questions looking at, you know, as far as age, you know, HIPAA violations, there's stuff that we can't touch
Right.
as far as being an employee.
But if you gave them that incentive, okay, you drop your insurance and we'll boost the salary to cover what you're paying for Medicare, which is way, way less than what you're paying for the health insurance, that would be a way to cut. Do what now?
That's not allowed.
Yeah, there's a lot of things, a lot of law that we're not allowed to do. And Commissioner Powell wanted to say a few words, and David Kelly had a question.
So with all due respect to what's been said, the number of 29 volunteers was brought up and provided by Mr. John Jefferson in a recording session of a workshop less than a week ago. I didn't make that number up. So that number was provided to the court from Mr. Jefferson. I think on there I did say that some of those volunteers are not full-time. They just do research on the computer or what have you. I did not imply that there was 29 full-time volunteers there, but that number did come from Mr. Jefferson. But with all due respect, everything that's been said, I still stand here today and say that we simply cannot afford, in my opinion, a full-time employee in the history center. I'm not going to back down from that. I've talked to a lot of people throughout this county. I do not feel like I'm in a silo on that. There's people in all segments of this county that do not know we have a history center. I'm not saying close it. I've never said close it. I've never said shut down the library. So I want that corrected quickly. I did not say close either or. One of the two. Now, if the days of service are different, they're different. But we're at a crossroads. We do not have industry to support a full-time employee in the history center, in my opinion. That's all I have to say about that.
So I'm sure I'm gonna make a young man our store.
That'll be the first time.
Start over.
And all the talk today has come down basically pennies. You're talking about a couple $1,000 over here, a couple $1,000 over there. I brought September 29th, 2022 Commissioners Court, where I stood up and I stated, and if you spare me a few extra minutes, Judge, I'd like to remind the people of Newton County what I said. And the problems you're having today are because the administration before this court broke you. Broke you. And I'll explain. This is what I said then. I would like the record to reflect that Newton County's 2022 budget was voted into place with a $1.3 million deficit. This court did not make the difficult reductions necessary at that time, which were needed. This court ended the year 2022 with a $2.2 million deficit. The court is utilizing $2.5 million in ARPA funds designed to help the citizens not pay the debt created by this court. To date, there is still nothing in writing for the public to see from ARPA administration allowing funds to be used in the manner for which this court is proposing. Even our district attorney, who makes sure all knows he is in charge of all contracts, has not signed for a morally righteous name stating these ARPA funds can be legally used in the manner outlined in the 2023 budget without liability to Newton County. My biggest fear is that this ARPA money being utilized to square this administration's debt account will be audited by FEMA, and Newton County will be liable for $2.5 million in payback for the future. See that ring a bell to anybody? $3 to $5 million? I can guarantee the county's consultant, Trailer Associates, is not going to be held responsible for giving this advice on the use of ARPA funds. He gets paid with no liability. Not this court's problem in the future either, but it'd be a huge problem for each of you if you were held personally responsible for it. And you should be, because you've been warned multiple times not to utilize this money in this manner. This court is saying the 2023 budget closes out the debt and starts the incoming administration on a zero net basis. This is untrue. This budget reduces $1 million in services to the citizens of Newton County, $400,000 from solid waste alone, with plans on dissolving the department completely. No backup plan, no solution going forward, no money for hazard mitigation, emergency management, or the floodplain. But this court did remove Precinct 4 Commissioner's truck allowance and see Judge-elect's cell phone and travel allowance in this budget cut. We can all see the court's priorities. This Commissioner's Court is going to say we are saving jobs now, which is more important to this Commissioner's Court than doing what is right for the county's future. I quote this court in saying it's the new administration's problem to deal with. Yet this budget creates another plus $1 million deficit if left unchecked throughout 2023 because the needed reductions required for a balanced budget for Newton County to heal from the debt inflicted was not done. So now, I will tell all county employees here today that 19% of our workforce needs to be eliminated for a chance at a balanced budget going forward. And you should know who to blame. It is in black and white by the numbers, and when numbers are done correctly, they do not lie. This Commissioner's Court's reign, 2018 to 2022, from beginning to end has shown that the Democrat mindset under the guise of conservative Republican leadership of spending more than you have is alive and well in Newton County. I hope the citizens of Newton County now realize how important the conservative mindset and the proper application of that mindset is to their future and why they need to be involved in the citizen government. That's what I stated 2 years ago. You're broke today because you have not held anybody accountable for not only spending the millions of dollars that they collect in taxes every year. They spent the $2.5 million of the CD that you had in savings, and they used the $2.5 million of ARPA that was supposed to be for your services to pay their debt. Now, I'm pissed. Apologize for my French. But the people, we the people, are the ones responsible and are now holding the bills that have to come due. I said it then, I'll say it again now. You have two choices. You make the deep cuts now, you take the tax, you have to raise taxes. That's not including the school taxes and the other abatements that are being levied on. You have to eat it now to be able to move forward in the future. It's not their fault. They tried to come in and balance the boat, and they did. So now, you either keep suffering like you're suffering and continue this whole process next year and say, oh, we need to cut $1,500 from this place and, part-time workers over here at this place, or you just do it now and take care of it, and you go back and make sure why at $15 million plus was spent from Newton County with nothing to show for it. And if you all know this, and you all know what I've been asking for, but nobody knows where your money went, except a handful. And it's a shame to pass the buck and then come here again in September at budget time and say, oh, what are we going to do? I have no dog in this fight because Texas voted 100% disabled veteran. I don't have to pay property taxes. But I believe in we the people, and we the people have the right to hold our money being spent accountable. And you have not got that. They're trying to do that now with the minimal pain. And you're going to have this continued minimal pain until you just take the cut and get it done. Thank you.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, I didn't see.
Okay, I have to agree with almost everything you said. It's gotta be done now.
Yes.
Okay? So, I have several questions that either will or will not be answered, or can or cannot be answered. Okay, it has been said, I cannot say if it's true or not, that there is offices for our county and office space that are being rented. And there's storage space that is being rented. Yes, this courthouse will not hold everything this county needs. Totally understand. But there is also other county offices, not inside this courthouse, that are half empty. If you are paying a lease, a rent to house a department, it's time to take a few little hits and let's, double up.
Now, as far as lease, there's only one building being leased by the county, and that's across the road over there, and it's the sheriff's department's evidence. That's what they call the Cooper Thomas building, which is actually the old, movie theater. So that houses, sheriff's department's evidence, and we are looking at, out at the old jail, fixing up one of those buildings out there too. Move the evidence, move the stuff out there, or we're no longer paying a rent on that building.
So the county now owns all these buildings across the street?
Yes.
Okay. Yes,
Can I say something, Court? One thing I want to remind everybody is whenever you have evidence, put in a building that's got to be climate controlled, you're going to have printers, it's going to have to be a safe and secure environment. And you can't just go throw evidence into a building that's going to have to be, because ultimately Sheriff Murphy's responsibility, I'm going to be responsible for it. And, if the state, there's ever evidence missing, or the state comes in and does any kind of audit, they're not going to want to hear any excuses as to why something's missing or anything like that. So that's just something that, kind of stuck in a rock and a hard spot.
It does have to be fine.
Yeah, we'll pay for it.
But, that's a great question Ms. Gannon asked. And to me, it sets an example that the court has had some good discussions, because we did, I think I told you earlier, we did have that discussion with Sheriff Kirby and Sheriff-elect earlier, and they stated the same thing. That's a great question.
okay, and also, we have the property, the old prison property. Consolidate. Do y'all have utilities on out there? Are y'all doing maintenance out there? Or y'all keep the grass mowed? If the utilities are owned, the building should be in a decent shape. Consolidate. Precincts cannot consolidate. Our precinct managers, they cannot. The distance is too far. You would lose any savings by fuel time consumption. But it's here in Newton, county government things. Consolidate. Things are too scattered. I was trying to get property all taken care of at one time. Everybody I dealt with was wonderful. The personnel were wonderful. The places I had to run was crazy. We've got all these buildings that we're paying utilities, paying tax, well, I don't know if y'all pay taxes or not, where we got it from. But we're paying utilities, we're paying furniture, we're paying this, we're paying that. Let's look, see where we can trim some of that. Because if you are paying $1,000 a month, that's $12,000 a year on one property. I was told there were several. Like I said, I did not know if that was true or not. But if you had 4 at $12,000 a year, that was one of the deficits that y'all have today.
At one time, they were leasing the JP's office, like, Rich Benson said, he bought a trailer, consolidated offices there at Bleakwood. We're leasing it's called the Cooper Thomas building in the Sheriff Department. It's been under lease for 8 years. But there is plans on consolidating. We've got the tax office and the clerk's office. When the courthouse burned, they were looking for office space to hold everybody until the courthouse got rebuilt. So they moved the county bought the buildings, and from what I'm understanding, across the street, and moved the offices in over there. So,
I understand that like right now, I think y'all are doing reconstruction from the water leak, and somebody had to move somewhere else. That's beyond your control. But long term, we can't run out and rent this for 6 months or rent that, because even though it is only $6,000, when you multiply that for different things in different parts of the county, It adds up.
Since I've been in office, we've only had the one lease on the River Commons building. Now, as far as like the old hospital, it's a maintenance utility nightmare. We have actually the food banks there. We have agriculture extension office, the nutrition program, and Judge Greer's offices over there. So we're paying $4,000, basically $4,000 a month, just to keep the lights on. So
Does TechCom reimburse you any of that on the food?
no, it's just, as far as the food program, they're a separate entity, but they're using the old hospital building as a place.
Y'all are just picking up the.
Yeah, we're just picking up the utilities.
Did y'all get a grant for the new DA building?
No,
That would pay for that
we
outright?
paid for that. Well, part of the money was from the ARPA funds. It was a separate, it's kind of like the ARPA, but it was a tribal, so that, part of that money was used to purchase the building. At the time, everybody had to move out of the courthouse because of the work going on. So instead of leasing office space, we went ahead and bought the building, put the building up there for,
Was there any room at the prison that she could have went to where the other ones were there?
no, there's no, now the treasurer's office moved to the prison. They set up an office in the old chapel, precinct 3, the basically what we call the county barn. It is at the prison. Utilities are on part of the building. I don't know if y'all remember years ago, some thieves went in there and stripped a lot of wiring out of the backside of the prison, so it was cost prohibitive to put that wire in at this time for not being able to use, or no use for it. So basically the phase 1 section does have utilities on it, but it's not climate controlled at the moment. But the only thing that is climate controlled is the treasurer's office and the precinct 3, and the county maintenance guys basically have the whole maintenance bill out there.
I don't want to cut in Miss Janet's time, but Margie's question, so a little bit more about that. So that building was purchased, and I'm getting back now, I think it's like $103,000. And it was, when we looked at it at the time, we couldn't rent a place for the time period that the court was going to be down for that amount of money. And then District Attorney Courtney Pontier also had, and I forget the exact number, almost $60,000 in money that she had acquired in her office through through seizures of illegal goods and different things and auctions. So she put money toward that. I think we budgeted in that like 180, and then she put money with it. And what that allowed us to do also, so we kind of offset the original purchase of $100,000, which I think is a great purchase price for that building. But we offset that, so we were in it like for 80, and then we also, what we saw coming was when they move over there, all these offices are going to be vacant. So what's happened is we had one of those offices you're talking about over by the water tower, city water tower. And if anybody needs the auditor sitting next to him, it's the county judge, regardless of who he or she is, right? So the judge moved the county auditor and her department right next to him in the ODA's office. So that move was a great move for the county. I'm proud of that move. I'm proud of it not only for the move and the logistics and the budgeting, but also for the finished product that we ended up with as a building.
Also, talking about the old hospital building, there's some maintenance, utility now. So, once we can ever get the food bank, the county got a grant to build basically a new civic center, shelter out by the old prison. It's going to be 23,000 square foot building. It's going to be a nice building. Well, eventually, I would like to move there's a certain amount of years we have to do it, but eventually, I would like to move the tax office and the county clerk's office into that building, new building. We're going to have to pay utilities on it, whether not just.
Where are you gonna build it at? I'm sorry.
By the trees.
Out by the prison. Okay, it's gonna be,
105.
That's good.
So y'all have plans
Yes.
in the future to consolidate, cut down running several different.
Yes. Now, the agricultural department, ag extension office, I plan on moving them into the building that the auditors have, which is underneath the water tower, east on the old ambulance building. So their office will be moving in there when they get the new agent. The agent has resigned, so basically we don't have anybody. So, and then find an office for Mike Greer and veteran service guy. Basically, I want to do away with old, just stop using old office. Because altogether this costs so much. $10,000 a month.
To sell these, try to put these up for sale to make, as is to make a profit?
We can, whatever, if somebody wants to buy it, we can sell it.
And on this building that the judge is talking about, Commissioner Benson and Commissioner Philip White are also, they're on that because they're close and they're gonna help orchestrate that or help lay it out, get the exact word I'm looking for. Design, make sure it's designed right, they're part of that team. But it's zero match, so we don't have to have a percentage of that 13 million. It's something that the court has asked for multiple times and we have coming, is maintenance and operations costs, projected maintenance and operations costs for that building. So we're not going into it blind, we're saying, hey, we're about to build a $13 million building before we build it. We need to know as a county what it's going to cost to run it. What's the AC running, what's the expected maintenance cost? Because when we talk about this building over here that the DA moved into, they sprayed about 6 inches of foam in the walls. So when you go in that building, you don't hear that air conditioner running constantly like you do in this money pit. This is a money pit. I don't know if anybody knows this, but this guy sitting next to me, and this is a money pit. I don't know how he keeps this going. I mean, it's either a plug water line or a
Let
leak.
me explain. The air conditioners, most of the air conditioners are up and down. And they're geothermal systems, which there's water wells all throughout the courthouse square. It circulates the water, cool. But the air conditioners are 14, 15 years old, and they don't make them anymore. So you can't replace them in the attic because they're in the attic, the rafter doesn't run them, you've got sprinkler heads. So when anything breaks, you have to have it manufactured. So to keep, just like one of them started leaking water the other day. Well, it was on a Friday or Saturday, nobody was in the courtroom. So the courtroom had a lot of water, and it actually leaked down to the bottom floor. So that's what we're working on. That's the reason we can't go down to the courtroom, because they have the fans and the dehumidifiers sucking the water out. But basically, we are trying to consolidate a bunch of different things to actually save money. But with the money we have, you can't do it all at one time. Go ahead.
I'd like to speak to the, what had been said earlier about transparency. You can call me the department head, you can call me an elected official. My name is Melissa Burns, your tax assessor collector. I've been there over 21 years. I said I wasn't going to say anything today unless my office was attacked. But I'm finding out in this budget workshop that my office is in the plans to be moved, and I knew nothing about it.
We don't have a bill.
We've got to have but we've got to have more communication. We have to have communication. It's very vital that the tax office stay close to the appraisal district, if possible. If possible. I have asked, this is the third administration, and they're working on it now, for storage. We cannot even walk in our vault without pulling heavy boxes out. We are mandated by state law to keep those records. They have to be in the vault. They have to be in a secure place. mad at anyone. It's just aggravating. I'm mad at the whole situation because we want transparency, but we have so far to go to get to total transparency. Last week, I received a call. I couldn't take a vacation. I cannot. Not because of my staff. They won't contact me unless it's an emergency. I had a printer delivered to my South County office with no advance notice. I didn't know a thing about it. It would have been so much cheaper if I had had advance notice. Had I known, I would have had an IT person there, but because I did not know, and I'm not trying to dog the court, I'm just saying we need to work on our communication and our transparency. My Louisville office was empty for quite some time, and people don't like to walk in and not be able to be served. I don't like it. My staff doesn't like it. Something has to happen. We have to have some, either form committees, somehow we gotta have better communication. That bugs me when I get a phone call, hey, did you know a printer was being delivered? I felt like you would have told me. No, I sure didn't. And guess what? It's on a Friday. Where most people in this county are now working 4 days a week. So it was, we got a hold of IT. We got a hold of an IT person.
Did you even need that new copier? Did you even need a new copier?
I don't have the answer to that. The copier I had was working, but it was a downgrade. I know they're trying to save on copiers.
We need to.
Way back, I purchased my copiers, or I did on a $1 buyout. Those days are over. I don't have the answer to that, but I will get it. And if I've offended anyone, forgive me. But I could not sit here and not open my mouth.
You know, I think the county's been on a contract with, it's called Texas Document Solutions for the past 5 or 6 years. And usually when they switch a printer out, the printer is up on lease. And we have went through a list of all the printers that, county offices that have not being used. And I wasn't aware that we were getting one changed out.
Yeah, I'm just saying, Document Solutions, or someone should have notified, given us 72 hours in advance notice, so we could have someone on site, because it's not simple anymore. We're in a high-tech world. Parks and Wildlife, motor vehicle, where people can go to other counties, where some counties weren't willing. I think everyone's feeling the crunch. They've now become willing. They have new tax assessor collectors, and they're willing now.
And I think, just to add, not about the building out there, but as far as the printer, I don't think anyone on the court was aware he was getting a new printer. I just want to make that clear.
Yeah, I'm not saying, I'm just saying that's just something that we need to look at and say, okay, why isn't Document Solutions? Why weren't they notifying us? What is the problem here,
Does anybody ever review those contracts?
Yes, and I went through it with Texas Document Solutions, and before, the way it was, you didn't know, you didn't directly tell them, hey, I don't want this printer. When the lease comes up, it automatically renews. Well, I went through it, every printer that, comes up for renewal, if we don't need it, it needs to go. So we have reviewed, myself and the auditor's office, and we have got rid of some redundant printers or copiers that we don't need. But we are working through just eliminating the ones that we don't need.
Well, and I know that's just small dollars, that, you know, in the whole big picture, but every small dollar adds to a large dollar. That's called cutting the fat.
Hey, I said something earlier about this courthouse building. Yeah, that wasn't a rock, or I wasn't throwing rocks at the judge and the past judge or the one before them. I'm just stating it back. I want people to know that this court, this administration's got a heavy anchor around their neck, maintaining this really old, I mean, just like your repairs downstairs, you know, we gotta get people involved that are trained in historical site, repairs. So I wasn't mean to throw rocks at anyone, it's just a burden, a real burden.
Yeah, I'd like to speak on behalf of the younger folks that are here, who have heard, most of what you have heard today is from people over 65 years of age, which obviously I am. People over 65 years of age, their taxes are not gonna go up. So, it's real easy to sit back and say, yeah, raise taxes if you're over 65 years old, because yours ain't going up. So you sit here, young folks, I'd like to hear from you. Like I said, why am I worried about it? Because I'm worried about you. I'm worried about me. I live way over the woods up on top of the hill, Lawrence bless me. Hey, I don't even need to be here. I can be fishing. But I want to hear from you. You're the ones that's going to affect. This tax increase will affect you, the younger people in this county. And I sit here and everybody I've heard is over 65 years old, for the most part, except one. I'm sorry. But I've heard one person in this room that has said that he's going to cut out his people, and that was the judge. The judge come out and said, I'm planning on cutting one of my assistants. He's the only one in the room that volunteered to make a cut. He's cutting one of his people. Now, is that going to put a heavy load on this other lady? I'm quite sure it is. But he's the only one. So, if you're sitting back there listening, people speak, look, see if they're old, like me, old, you know, hopefully they ain't as ugly as me, but, you know, old. And then take that into consideration.
I will say something, I was just kind of waiting until.
Yes, sir.
As respect.
Yes, sir.
I do have a couple of questions to ask. We've talked about cutting jobs, but for the minimum there, we're talking library, we didn't mention that those employees are part-time, they don't get those benefits that you're talking about. They don't get the health insurance, you're talking about pennies on the dollar. We added, if I'm not mistaken, does the commissioners have their own personal secretaries?
That comes out of there.
That comes out, so that does not help the.
Anything on the commission budget does not help the county.
Anything for the county?
Yes.
Okay. So, in saying that, is that the only jobs that benefit us if we cut that are not needed? Because I believe there's jobs, my wife pays $600 a month for insurance and she's a teacher at the school. Do you think they get rich or make very much money? No, they don't get paid that much. And I don't see why they can't help cover the cost of their insurance. I pay my own insurance. They pay their own insurances. And I believe that saves the county a lot of money. And as far as the library, even Miss Stephanie, I talked to her. You know, she gives hers back. She don't even take the $12,300, $500, whatever it is. For her benefit, she's full-time. And I just think that we're talking these cuts that are on minimum to appease the people, but really cut no fat out of the problem. You're talking about pennies on the dollars of people that really need that job. You take a librarian out of there that works and makes less than $14,000 a year, and then you raise their taxes, they don't have a job and higher taxes. Because they're taxpayers. And I'm a taxpayer. And most of the young people in here are taxpayers. And we're okay with paying our share. We're okay with, inflation, whatever we want to call it. We know we feel it at the grocery stores, we feel it everywhere, but we have a budget to fit. But have we really looked deep into the system where our money's going? And does really destroying a library that actually does things for our children, what few programs do we have here to help our kids? The elderly use, most of the senior citizens use the library. they got internet, they have things there that provides for them. The kids, the library does programs in the summer for kids. They don't support that out of it. They raise the money to help our children do that. So I just think there's other solutions here that we can look across the board instead of attacking things that don't affect you. The library don't affect your budget. It affects the county's budget, but it don't affect you personally as a job in the county. But I think it's important for this county to have a library. And I just think there's other ways that we can save money that would help save cost of this. And then if we get to the bottom of it, there's just no way and we gotta raise taxes. I think, Brother Benson there for saying, what he said today and trying to do right the way that he could do right. But I just believe there's more people that can buy into his thought process also of this county, and I'm with the others. I didn't hear one person say, besides Cochran, the Judge Cochran there, of where he could save for the county.
That's why I mentioned the solid waste, that's $100,000.
right here.
How can we, require, insist that the city of Newton take over some of the budget responsibilities for the library and the history center?
Well, basically, like the history center is Newton County history, not the city of Newton history, even though they're a part of it. Now, they did agree last year to help with the library. Now, this year we haven't got confirmation this year.
For the 2025 year?
Yes, for 2025. You know, let me say something, and then I'll let you put it up. I don't know where Mr. Garner went, but as far as young people, I'm not young, but I got 5 or 6 more years before I hit that one, so I'll be paying it too. So, you know, anything we vote in, I'll be paying it myself.
Yeah, I just want to reiterate, I've never insinuated shutting down the library, okay? Never insinuated shutting down the library. I've made a statement, I'll make it here in front of you guys. I think 2 full-time people in the library, and 2 part-time people in the library is a gross overstaffing issue that needs to be addressed. I think we can run that library with the best people. I stand behind that statement. Didn't say shut it down. You say, look at it, and you say, there's other ways, I promise you, I've said those too. You're not gonna cut $600,000 out of the budget by cutting them. What's that, okay?
Let him speak, and I'll let Ms. Margie. Go ahead, and then I'll let Ms. Margie speak.
We understand you got a county budget. These commissioners all get a percentage of that. And once that percentage is set in, it can't be changed from what I've been hearing.
It's set by state law, yes.
Okay? What keeps you from changing that budget to where that drops down and helps everybody? There'll be less money to them.
Well, it's set by state law, we can't change it.
Can't change the budget. What you said.
Come from
You vote on that budget, y'all set that budget. It's set on the tax dollars.
We're talking about total tax levy.
Not
You know, we
voted.
cannot change the percentage that goes to the commission. We cannot change by law, we cannot change that.
Commissioners can't change their part.
No matter what.
It's, Mr. Young, it's an 85-15% split on Newton County. Now, the lateral road portion that you see on your tax statement, all of that ends up going to the commissioners. But the Newton County, it's an 85% for the general fund and 15% for the commissioners. That's split 4 ways.
And just to put that into perspective,
I understand, I'm just seeking a solution, right? Because the way it stands right now, all the commissioners, they just sit back and do this because hey, y'all can't touch my stuff. Mr. Cochran, he touches his stuff, but I can't touch my stuff by law. But if that could be changed, then it would change everything. Then it would go back and everyone would be affected. Not just this librarian and this one over here, but everybody. And that's fair. you gotta do something, be fair to everybody.
Well, that argument that you're having, you need to have it at the state level with the legislature. We're not capable of undoing state.
I understand that, but what I'm saying is that y'all aren't taking that burden.
Oh, no, there's a burden.
You're asking someone to take, no, you're not, on what you're getting, you're not.
Oh, you're talking about me?
Yeah.
So like I said earlier,
Judge Cochran, he's taking his, he's eliminating one job and whatever else he can do on his part. But see, y'all don't have to. And me, if I be on the state level, I don't care. That's not right. It's not right to take this and not spread it out. It might be state level, that's just not right.
That's where legislate, I've got a question. Because some of y'all are new, some's been here for a while. It all's coming down to, you can cut little things in a budget, but that's not gonna help you overall.
right.
Have y'all done a study, say 5 years ago, how many employees did the county have versus how many employees the county's got right now? And so that will show you how many has been added and when. They might be thinking, I don't know, that's y'all have just done that. But I think you need to do some searching back and what you are right now.
That goes back to my comment, each elected official needs to look at their budget, their employees, the efficiency of their office, and come to the conclusion, what can I do to help this budget? It's not happening.
Across the board sacrifice versus just city
Yes.
level.
Yes.
That's what it should be.
Yes.
Thank you, everybody. I think we should look at this in a different perspective altogether. I think that versus singling one area here and there, we should maybe look at it as an overall across the board, what we can make little cuts here and there to try to equivalate a slush that will make up for this versus actually targeting certain areas. Like, I'm sure there are ways we could cut in each department all the way around to some extent. And of course that's argumentative, but what is the magic cure for that? Who's to say? But I think if we came together with a more collective mindset instead of defensive, that we could probably figure out things a lot better off than what they're happening.
Absolutely.
Go ahead, Ms. Sam.
All right, so my name is Stephanie Cody. I'm the current director of the Newton County School Library. Excuse me?
Basically, yes.
I sat over here and I listened for a week. And I really tried to listen to what you had to say, and I heard you. But what I will say is I feel that the biggest part with your statements is coming from a perspective of ignorance. I'm not calling you stupid as a person, but I'm saying what you don't know and the functions of the library, you are making comments and statements and proposing cuts that you know nothing about. Not one time in the whole time you've been here, we've had one conversation. Have you sat down with me and asked me, what is your purpose? Who do you reach? What are your numbers? Well, you really don't have to, because every single month in the Commissioner's Report, I submit documentation. And in your interview just the other day, they asked you what kind of revenue does the library bring in? And you flippantly said, I don't know, they may bring in a couple of fines, I don't know.
I said it's insignificant in the scheme of the gross amount of staffing.
Okay, I differ. That's not what I heard. However, that is not what our purpose is in that library. We are not a revenue-based entity. Never have been, never should be. So you continue to base the relevance of your opinion on how much money that we might be bringing, how much we're taking out of people and the services versus what we bring in. That is how that comes across to me. That might not be your intent, but it is to a lot of people that have heard your exact words. And so in defense of that, I have 2 full-time employees, 2 part-time employees in the Newton Library, and 1 part-time in Deweyville. Let's talk about Deweyville. Deweyville flooded
2016, that's exactly when I came in. 2 years in the making of rebuilding that library. How many people came to the open house? 0. My people. How often have you been in there? One time in January, you stated on a Facebook post, your library is not in any way in jeopardy of closing down. However, I've been told firsthand that that is a plan for you. And at this point, I became, honestly, between Dana and I, bless her heart, I really do like her. But at the time of that, I essentially became the problem child of the county because I had a voice and I had to fight. So for those of you that are in Deweyville, I fought for that library. I did. Again and again and again. Even to the point where I refused to give it up 2 years ago when we had $40,000 cut. Now some of you, $40,000 is not a lot of money, but to our budget it is. And we cut. And I was determined not to cut that library, so I had one person there for 8 hours a week. But your people have kind of spoken. I submit numbers every month. I know that they're not coming in there. I don't know why. It could be location. I don't know. So, in my opinion, do I feel like that is a relevant thing to keep open? I know that those that do visit it appreciate it. But I don't think you totally understand what each person in our job does. I'm management. I have an assistant director who's been there for 18 years. Each person has a different job and a different responsibility, none any less than anybody else. And we're cross-trained, we do it all. So to come after my department and say that we're non-essential people in the county, to me, when I hear non-essential, I've been told that when there's a natural disaster and you are non-essential key personnel, I know you cannot stay in the county, therefore you're gone. I get that. But don't say you're non-essential in this community. Follow back to the time and the reason that this library was put there to begin with. 2 school teachers, of which I'm a former educator, so I'm very strong with this, saw the need in this community that we keep saying again and again is rural poor. They saw that need, that they needed this in their community, and you've done nothing except in the last week essentially shut it down and say that the programs, I'm not saying you said shut it down. I'm saying what you proposed was to knock all the employees out, make it a part-time position, be open 3 days a week, and maybe every now and then, every 10 days or so, wander over to Deweyville and see what they got going on. That is not efficient. That is not fair to the people of your county. It might not be important to you, but you are that one person in my world that's not seeing it. I see your face. I see you see it.
So, I would just say that my mother was instrumental in setting up the library when it was next to the old courthouse. She was, very much so. So the idea that I would shut down the Deweyville Library is unfounded. I'm the one that put the sign up next to Highway 87, if you recall, that you said had sat in your library for 2 years that no one would put up. I put that sign up to you, and I got on Facebook and made a post about the library. I'm not in favor of shutting the library down. No one is going to put that on me. You all can sit around and say, Bubba wants to shut the library down against your son. You can say that till the cows come home. I've never said that. I've argued emphatically against that.
You might not have said it, but you've written
I
it.
have said that we can reduce the hours of operation. I have said that, and I believe it, and I stand on it. And when we go talk about essential and non-essential, the facts are the facts. Melissa Burks' office is essential. KK's office is essential. The commissioner's office, they're essential. The judge's office are essential. So is the sheriff's department and others. Those services that you provide to the community that are beneficial does not make them essential. There is a vast difference. They're a benefit, they're a value-added service, but that does not make them essential. That's why when there is a natural disaster, just like in chemical plants or anything else, non-essential people go home. Essential people stay. I'm sorry, that's the reality of it. If it hurts people's feelings, I apologize for that. I'm not trying to be cruel or indifferent. That's the way I feel, and I've said it all I can say it. So from now on, I won't. I'm just going to vote my conscience and what I think is right. So that's the end of it.
Well, how long has the county had a library? I know back in the 70s, I was at elementary school. Kind of dated myself. My sister work at the library, here in Newton, and it's where Margie Herring's office is now. And that's, I can remember the library being there, but, you know, this was back in the 70s.
I know it was there in 1978. I didn't know about everything. But on the square over there was the library. It smelled musty when you went in. And I don't know if the lady was paid to have the library or not, but I took my 4-year-old son, and I've got his picture through the window, and she was reading stories to him.
Yeah, I know.
And so it's been there since early
Before my sister went to
1970s.
college to be a nurse, she worked at the library, so, and I was small, and I can remember going in, and I remember the musty smell, and it was somewhere over there where Margie.
But the books were there, and children were there, and people were there.
Yes.
I might like to add, the library has been accredited for over 32 years. That is a big deal. That falls along the same lines as how the historical commission does theirs. That's a lot of paperwork, a lot of documentation, a lot of programs, a lot goes into that. And I will tell you, you know, it's been reported every single year. Not so that you can say, good job, because I far exceeded ever expecting that. But I hear it every single day from the people that do come in, that use our services, every single day. Every single day. So to not hear it from certain people, I'm acceptable to that. But I do appreciate, Mr. Benson, your kind words. You do understand. Don't think that we don't appreciate it. We appreciate everybody that comes through our doors. And would like to continue to be able to do that. I might also add that if we are forced to go less than 30 hours a week, we totally lose that accreditation through the Texas State Archives Commission. That also stops grants. That stops interlibrary loan programs. That takes care of share programs, which is all kinds of genealogy information, job information, all kinds of stuff that we have available to us. So just have that in mind. It has to be, you have to be open more than 30 hours a week. And by the way, my position does require a college degree. So a lot done. I'm not saying the college degree makes you any more intelligent than anybody else, but that is something that is required of us. So, and I actually have 2 of us that have that. But anybody that comes in there, we appreciate everything that our community does for us and continues to do for us. And if you said anything towards us today, we do appreciate it. And we hope to continue to be able to serve.
You know, Judge, we've talked a lot here today, and I don't want to cut anybody off or say anything to say, but I guess at the end of the day, yourself, Commissioner Benson, Commissioner White, have all proposed, voted for a tax increase of $500,000. And with the budget you proposed, the cuts you said here today, that's acceptable, right? I mean, we're going to be all right with the tax increase that you guys voted for last week.
We will have a balanced budget with a little bit of spending.
Okay. So, you know, I'm not supportive of that. I wasn't when we voted last week, and I've stated all the reasons why. And to continue this today is, unless somebody's just got something burning they want to say, we're just sort of repeat ourselves. I know I am. And I think, you know, Tuesday, we just come in here, we vote the way our hearts and our heads tell us to vote. And then when we get through with that, we agree to continue the good work we've done and working together. And that's just where I'm at. I mean, it's 12:15 and
I got one thing to say.
okay.
So, in summation of today's events, okay, I've been listening to everything and I hear it both sides. Literacy is dying in America, face it. If we don't keep up with the times and keep our old ways of keeping things instead of everything being computerized and books are gone, well, they did that in Nazi Germany. They've done that all throughout history. Get rid of the books, burn the knowledge, burn the history. You get rid of that, then we have nothing. And then down the road, we don't have anything. Everything is false right now. It's all computer data based, you know. You don't have tangible hardback books. When folks like running a library, you know, operations like that, they're serving a resource to the community. Be it as to whether most people use it or not, nonetheless, it is still serving a resource to the community. That's important, in my opinion. As a citizen, that's important. Because if we don't try to at least keep people educated or give them an opportunity to become educated or to read, that's part of what's wrong with our nation right now, man. We're good, you know? So I'm in favor of the library being, keeping up as it is. Consequentially, as you just said, if you do cut back their time and you do cut back them, then they will have to close. So it would be a roundabout way of them having to close. So that should be also taken into consideration. Thank you. That's all I have.
Anybody have anything else they want to add?
I'd like to say, I sit here and listen, really appreciate the citizens, appreciate everyone here. And I think God that preacher kind of set the tone for today, because I was expecting something a little different. But I am very proud and appreciative of everyone trying to hear it out. And I know for a fact that a lot of times communication is the answer. A lot of times we just hear the tail end of something and don't understand how we got there. And yes, a lot of these things are dictated by the state, and a lot of folks did not know that, I know. And as we communicate, and I'd like to see more public meetings like this, because we hear more information is being exchanged, and as we go through the year, we're, like someone that recommended some changes, they can ask a question, where are we at it, about this library, this consolidation. And I think that as a board, and that was one of my, as I can remember well, Commissioner Powell here he was definitely set opposed to what we agreed to, and I told him before he left that day, I appreciate you, because that's what democracy is all about. You gotta weigh the pros and the cons, you gotta have someone checks and balances, and that's how you get to a good place. And we started for a long time in court, we said, well, that's what we've been doing for 30 years. That don't necessarily mean it's good. And so we got to where we started to ask questions, and just like on this health insurance, we went out and got some more providers and tried and weighed that against what Tech was doing. Quite naturally, if you're in a big group with 254 counties, you would think the more you can get cheaper rates and that kind of thing. But there are benefits with that relationship with them that we've seen be proven down through the years. And we need to be backed by the Texas Association of Commissions. It's always a good thing to have backing. And but the deal is that we have went through this for the last 4 or 5 years, and Mr. Kelly, I hate he's gone, because I was going to let him know that I heard every word he said, and he's right. You can't just go through the tough time and think everything gonna line itself out. There's got to be some follow-up. So my pledge to our court is that we at least every quarter have a meeting, a consolidation meeting, so that we can have something different this time next year. I mean, we need to look at all our buildings. We need to talk to our department heads one-on-one and talk about, is there any kind of technology we can put in place that would be able to consolidate some jobs and that kind of thing. Because as we know, that's the biggest issue is we have, employees' salaries is really causing us to have to really do some things that are out the ordinary. And I hate the word laying people off and taking their jobs and that kind of thing, especially in a small community like we have. So we've got to either do that or we've got to consolidate some stuff. In some of these buildings, I know the judge and I have talked about, like the old hospital, You know, that's, in my opinion, that's a sore spot, because as we get newer buildings and these have come on, having more officers out there at the prison and that kind of thing, that we ought to be able to get rid of some of these standalone buildings where we're paying light bills and stuff, water bills and stuff on every month. But I really hope and pray that and I think that we do have a good court. People's hearts are in the right place, and we pray we get in the very court. We ask the Lord to help us make good decisions for our citizens. And I don't think none of us are faking. We really want to do the right thing that are going to benefit you guys. And well, we're included. You know, the tax thing, I'm going to pay our taxes too. And but I know that a lot of people are not as fortunate as some of us are that has, you know, retirement checks and that kind of thing, you know. But we do try and look out for the citizens, and I hate it. I voted that way because I had no other choice, in my opinion, because I just hate to see us keep trying to, you know, get blood out of a turnip when we know it's not there. I mean, we've had several meetings, like I said earlier. We've had several meetings, and we've looked at some people and square in the eyes and asked them if they can do without a person, and if they can cut back and all that kind of thing. And we all know what it takes to operate our business, but we will be following up. I promise you this won't be the last time that I will bring this to our court's attention, that we need to look at trying to build a better place next year. That's my pledge to you all.
One thing Mr. Norton said was that no one had agreed to do more or take less. Mr. Greer, or Judge Greer, JP, just please, Mr. Greer.
Whatever you like, Greer.
Has agreed that his assistant would cover 2 JP officers. So he did step up in that area, and I think that's to be, I just wanted to mention that here before we left.
All right, you know, and before we close out, I'd like to just invite anybody that has a question about the budget. You know, come to my office and I will show you. You know, what we're basing the budget off of. We have 2025 proposed budget. We have 2024 adopted budget. And then we have year to date what we've spent in each line item. And then we have 2023. So the budget is based off of, you know, what we're spending in 2024, and we're trying to cut that. You know, the increases that have come. So I invite anybody that wants to come look at the budget, come to my office, and I'll sit there and go over with you. To show you just how much, just what is mandated by the state, what we have to pay, and so I just invite anybody to come look at it. And with that, I'm gonna say, meeting is adjourned.